Barry, I can't open certain Zoom calls. And you have to copy the link and go to Chrome to open it. Barry, I
Rich pathways.
Again, I don't know what it is. I don't know what these so-called cookie sauce.
yeah.
Yeah, it's like if I want to go into American Express and look up our account, you know,
Right.
which I do, like every other day.
Okay, I think we're set up for a live stream right now. Yes, it says we're live. All right, I'm gonna wait just a few more minutes to see if anyone else is joining.
Hey, there's Ellen. Hi, Ellen.
Hi. There we go.
I'm gonna go see Code Motion on Dad's house.
Okay, I am having trouble figuring out how to mute everybody. I'm going to start everyone on mute. So if you're not muted, if you can mute yourself, that would be awesome. And I'm going to talk for a few minutes and then give everybody else a chance to talk. So I'm going to spotlight myself so you can see me. Okay, so hello everybody. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you for the past couple months. This has been a very welcome distraction from everything else that is going on. I know when we started the Knit Along, I was kicking it off while trying to coordinate distance learning with my 4 boys. Luckily, about a month in, the schools opened up again. They started going to school. Everybody is much happier at my house. Having a few hours of thinking without kids trying to show me their Lego creations or without trying to figure out IT problems on their iPads has made such an enormous difference. And luckily the kids are all happy and doing well with school. So I'm really happy about that. Just a quick update on that. I thought I would start by telling you a little bit about the process of like my design process for this wrap. Maybe you'll find it interesting, maybe you won't, but I thought I'd give you a little bit of background. So Miss Babs had reached out to me in January asking if I wanted to do a mystery knit along sometime within the next year. And we had a lot of back and forth, and originally we were thinking January, and then I decided it would probably be better to do it sooner. And because I always do an October sock collection, it kind of had to be before that. So that is how we picked the September timeframe. And so from about February on, we were working with that in mind. And I got to meet with Miss Babs and some of her team when I went to Stitches West back in February, when people were allowed to see each other in person. So I had some ideas, and I don't know how well it's going to do showing you my iPad. I'm hoping that the image quality is good enough so that you can see sort of what I was thinking. So one of the things I like to do, I very much take inspiration from the yarn of indie dyers and their color palettes and their color genius. And really, Miss Babs, I feel like they do color really, really well. So when I'm trying to come up with a new palette or a new idea, a lot of times I will look at some of my favorite dyers and get inspiration from their sets, especially because I'm a big fan of mini skeins. So this is, I took a screenshot of one of their palettes, and then I sort of like started pulling together colors that I liked, color inspiration, and then sort of trying them on different backgrounds. So you can see I put colors like on black, on gray, on white, to sort of see what I liked and how those colors played together before I actually got the yarn, because they had wanted me to create my own palette for this, which is really exciting, but it's also very overwhelming. And so I put together what I thought was a really unique combination of colors, but you'll see it's nothing like what I have right now. And these colors are not showing up very well on the screen, and I apologize for that. Let's see. So I came up with this color combination, and then I tried it out on all different backgrounds to see how that looked and what I liked. And that ended up being one of the color palettes that I sent out to the dyers saying, here's a suggestion. And I believe that the one Emma's yarn came up with ended up looking a lot like that one. And so from that point, once I had some colors, I started sketching them out. And this is my original sketch. Let's see if you can see that, for the design. And so you can see it's changed a lot, but it was just a general idea to sort of relay my ideas to other people because they can't see what's inside my head. And I'm gonna go ahead and let you know, like, I am not an artist. I am not, like, at least not with drawing. Drawing is not my strength at all. In fact, when I'm submitting a yarn design to a call for submissions, I almost always just knit the thing because I can't draw it, but I can knit it. And I feel like that conveys my point way better than a sketch can. So this, I had actually just started using Procreate right before this design. So I was brand new to this drawing program, but playing around with it quite a bit. So one of the things that was really, really important to me is that this design would work for all different types of yarn, or at least many different types of yarn, that it would have lots of options for anyone who wanted to pull from their stash yarns, anyone who wanted to buy a kit, and also for dyers who wanted to create kits for this. And so I started messing around with colors and trying to make sure that it would work with different things, like, for example, a gradient yarn. And I mean, the colors aren't showing up super well, but these are all shades of blue. And I think Marinated Yarns put together a kit like that, and Destination Yarns did one like that. Lots of shades of blue with a neutral background. And then I just kind of started playing around with colors. And because I wasn't skilled at Procreate, when I would drag and drop colors, it was somehow changing the entire color palette of what I had drawn. And so doing that ended up coming up with this, which you can tell those colors are what I ended up using. So I ended up really loving that combo, that layout, and choosing that for my design. But then I had a lot of other options. I sketched it so many different ways, and passed those along to Miss Babs and to the other dyers. So this was one showing all different gradients. This one was showing lots of different crazy color variations. So this was that original one. And then that's more of a classic rainbow. And then this was I call it my moody rainbow, which I really was happy with. And then this was another one. And so some of these palettes I passed along to the dyers, and you can see like this was I think this was the inspiration for the Aurora kit that Miss Babs did. This one was the maybe Plum Harvest, and I think this one was Vitamin C. So they ended up using a lot of those color suggestions that I had created for this design. And so from that point, you can see that it was originally a very symmetrical design. But after talking to the Miss Babs team, and then after really thinking hard about the mystery aspect of this design, I decided that it would be a lot more fun and a lot more surprising to make it asymmetrical. Now, for those of you who the asymmetry bothers, I'm sorry. I do have the Vacation Vibes wrap, which was another design I put out with Miss Babs that uses all mini skein, and it is very symmetrical. Oh, I think someone needs to be muted. Oh, getting some feedback. Okay, we're good. Anyway, the original design was symmetrical, but then when I started thinking about it in my head, planning out clue 1, clue 2, clue 3, I didn't want every clue to just be, now do the same thing on the other side. And I think that would be a beautiful shawl. And I think you can definitely modify the Garden Variety design to be symmetrical. But because this had the mystery aspect to it, I really wanted there to be an element of surprise. And so my thought for the first clue was use all the colors. I love mini skeins. I love color. I want to play with it. Let's start off by using all of them. And so that's what we did. And then I was like, okay, now what if we start working the other side? They think it's going to keep going this way, and then we end it. And so I know a lot of you commented that you were surprised, shocked. It did. I know some of you noticed that the stockinette kind of came up to a point before it's blocked. But I don't think anybody had a problem blocking it straight if they wanted it. And I saw that some of you blocked it into points. Some even added tassels to those points. And I think that is amazing. Let me say, I love putting something out there and then having the knitter take it and make it their own. I love seeing the modifications that all of you have done. Putting all of the adding all of the colors to the bricks at the very end, I thought was genius. Definitely storing away some of these suggestions for future designs. So I'm going to show you the next step of my process. So this, I didn't, like I said, I'm terrible at drawing. So I basically just cropped my photo or my drawing. And then I sort of started playing around with stitch patterns. So I have an enormous library of stitch patterns. I have everything Barbara Walker has put out. I have the Japanese stitch dictionaries. I have all sorts of different things that I use for inspiration, for jumping off points. And so I do a lot of photos of stuff, and then I just combine them on my iPad for inspiration. And then I start swatching. And the swatching is just an enormous process. And I know most of us are adverse to swatching, but when it comes to designing, it is an incredibly important part of the process. And one of the biggest things is I need to decide, is it worth the effort? Because while I'm designing, I'm always trying to think about the knitter and your experience. And sometimes doing a tricky technique is worth it. You get beautifully dramatic results, and it's great. I find it worth the effort. And there are other times where I'm like, wow, I did all of that work and this is what I've got. And I think all of us have probably experienced that at some point with our knitting, where it was like, that's just not worth it. That's not worth that effort that I put into it. So this, or the other thing is that it's not the right look for that yarn, for that color. A lot of times I keep all of my swatches. I have a drawer here just filled with swatches. And they have, some of these have been made into designs. Some of these were just submissions I put into the world that never got accepted, or that I decided not to submit, or, you know, and it's a fun reference drawer, because I can think, oh, I tried something like that once. Let me go find the swatch that I've already done and see what I think about it, see how it would work with this design. Because sometimes, I mean, things might work for a sweater that don't work for a shawl, or vice versa. Or sometimes it's just not the right fit for the yarn, or whatever it may be. And so I definitely, the swatching process is pretty significant. And then the rest of it that I've got here is just pages and pages of my notes and trying things out and tracking the yardage. And again, really keeping all of you knitters in mind, keeping the mystery aspect in mind, trying to balance. While I would love to design something that makes everybody happy and has everybody totally thrilled throughout the entire process, it's not possible, because while some knitters are looking for lots of mindless Netflix knitting, other knitters are expecting lots of new and interesting techniques and trying new things. While some knitters are hoping to maximize the yardage of this kit that they spent all of this money on, other knitters want to have leftovers so that they can make scrappy socks afterwards. And even just with the clues, you know, I realized that I was only giving a week between clues, and I know that that is a challenging time frame, but that was actually intentional because I wanted it to be a challenge. But then I also extended the deadline for having it finished, so that even if you couldn't keep up with the clues week by week, you would be able to hopefully finish in time. And if not, I wanted to have that Instagram as like an extra thing, like, okay, you couldn't finish, but if you post on Instagram, you could still win a prize. And I think there were at least 2 of those winners who did not finish complete wraps, but managed to get a prize anyway. So I am always trying to think about all of those things and create something that's very balanced. And so hopefully I succeeded. You're all showing up here, which has me feeling like you were maybe happy with the design, or maybe you're on to yell at me. I do appreciate, I read every comment that went into the message boards, and a lot of it I filed away as like, okay, remember this for next time, or this is how I could improve next time. Before beginning, another thing that I didn't mention that I do is I did a lot of research, and it's research that, I mean, I've been doing it for years, following other designers, purchasing their mystery knit alongs, seeing what they do, seeing how they explain things, and then seeing what people's reaction is to it. And then taking that and doing something that's completely my own. What is me? What do I want this to be for everybody? And how is mine going to be different or special than what else, you know, everything else that is on the market? Anyway, that's the little backstory behind Garden Variety. And I have shared my pictures on the pattern page and on Instagram, and you're seeing it now. This is my favorite way to wear a shawl, is wrapping it once around my neck. And then I found that with this design was really fun is depending on what color I'm wearing underneath it, I can sort of shift it to highlight different colors, either a color that is different than what is on underneath, or to highlight a color that I am wearing, like the red is a great one to for the colors that I use and the color scheme that I used to sort of show off. I did try to include photos of other ways to wear it, and I'm really excited for all of you guys to share the ways that you like to wear the shawl or are thinking about wearing it. And I want you to feel free to tell me what you liked, what you hated, what you would like to see next time if you're willing to put up with me again. I will tell you right now that my least favorite was the daisy stitch. I do love it in the pattern. I think it was a great addition. I don't regret it. But I did get a sore spot on one of my fingers from doing all of those daisies. And I think it's really interesting. I know that that was one that quite a few of you also commented, like, that's a lot of daisies. And I can tell you, you probably aren't going to see a lot more daisy stitches in my future designs. But I also saw people who said that those were their favorite, or that they didn't like knitting them, but loved the results. And again, that goes back to like, that's how I felt about it. Like, it was worth the work. It was worth that little sore spot where I put a blister band-aid to protect my finger and make it through all those daisies, because of the way that it turned out. Oh, one more design element that I wanted to tell you about that was a very conscious decision, and that was the if you notice, the main color, so the blue for my sample, is all garter stitch. Everything done in the main color is garter stitch, and the contrast colors don't ever use garter stitch. So they either do the unique stitches like the daisies, or they do stockinette lace, or they're the stockinette portion of the mosaic. And when I swatched the trellis, I swatched it all three ways. I swatched it all in garter, I swatched it all in stockinette, and I swatched it in both. And that's when I made this decision that, like, okay, across the board, the main color is going to be garter stitch. The rest will be either stockinette, like all the CCs will be either stockinette or they'll be their own thing. And then that will be sort of the theme that carries throughout and keeps it unified. But my other purpose for doing that was that I could tell anybody on any section, if they were struggling, feel free to substitute stockinette for the CC and garter ridges for the MC. And that can, if you want to modify any section, you can do that. While it was not written explicitly in the pattern, I don't think I wrote that explicitly in the mystery knit along pattern. I did add that now that everybody knows, now that it's been revealed, I did include that in the complete version of the pattern for anyone going forward who wants to do that. And if any of you got stuck, then hopefully that is a tip that can help. So I am going to call on one of you at a time and let you show off your wrap. You can tell us anything you'd like about it. You can tell us your yarn choices. You can tell us what you liked, what you didn't like. Feel free to jump in with any information that you want. And one more thing before we do that, I just wanted to say, in case you did not see it in your email or in your newsletter, I want to be sure that everybody knows there is a coupon code right now for any of my designs. You can take 40% off of any of my designs. I'll show you some more at the end of this. I've got some here that I can show you and tell you about what's coming up. But for now, I'm going to let other people have a turn to talk. So I will spotlight you. So I'm going to start with Crystal Garcia.
All right. Hi. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Hi. So I went stash diving, but I did have a lack of a main color. So I did go to Miss Babs and I chose a sparkly yarn, and that worked out really well. So this is kind of almost like an evening type shawl, because in the light it does give a little bit of an iridescence to it, but the main shifting colors through here are magentas and blues, and I think it turned out really, really nice. So
I love that.
It was a joy to do, so thank you very much.
Oh, good. It's amazing. I love the idea of the sparkle yarn. And it was so exciting to me to see people going stash diving and coming up with like these treasures that they've had all along and didn't use. So
Exactly.
yes, it's beautiful. Thank you. Is there anything else you wanted to share? Feedback or?
Feedback, not really. I kind of share your love of the daisy stitch. It was a little bit frustrating at first, but after a few rows of repetition, it's like, okay, I got this, but I'm ready for it to be over.
Yeah. I get that. I know when you open up clue 3 and see there's more, it's kind of like, I did feel that. I understand that.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right. Gail Brucker.
Oh, hi.
Hi.
I am on clue 3, which I just started recently.
Beautiful.
I love the colors. I'm loving it. It is a lot of work and a lot of concentrating, which is fine. I'm watching a show that I'm not watching, I'm listening to, because I'm watching this all the time. And as far as the daisy stitch goes, I thought something was wrong with me. I couldn't figure out why my finger hurt until you just spoke it out loud. So thank you for giving me that explanation.
Yes, I'm sorry. I have found if you just put a little blister Band-Aid or a Band-Aid to protect, just because for me it was just one spot that it was hitting. Yeah, I do
But
recommend.
I really thought something was wrong with me. I'm like, what am I doing? Why does my finger hurt every night? But when I get up in the morning, it's fine. So it's okay. It's only while I'm doing it.
Well, and to be honest, I thought I did think about omitting it and or changing it. And then I looked at all of the designs out there that use daisy stitch and I was like, oh, no, it must just be me. Like people love this daisy stitch. They're using it in all these designs. Like I'm probably just a wimp or I probably just knit it weird or whatever. So,
You were doing a garden. It made such perfect sense to have daisies. Now you don't have to do it again. Think of a different theme.
that's right. That's right. And I mean, paper daisy, you know, that's the name I'm going.
Yeah, no, it was perfect.
Have to do that.
So we all suffer through it. So I do have some more daisies to do.
All right. I'll let you get back to that.
Thank you.
Yes. All right. Let's see. MYACOVONE.
That's me. Sorry, it's my it's my work account. So it's my name is Mary. Hi, I'm from Boston. I found this knit along about 2 weeks in, and so I started a couple weeks late, but I just love it. I happened to have 2 gray skeins for the background, and then I just went into my leftover bin and found all kinds of greens and yellows and oranges, and I just love it.
Oh,
Love it.
So glad. It's amazing.
The mosaic stitch, seeing the spoiler threads with the mosaic is what sold it. I loved those. It's one of those things that looks really difficult, but it's so easy and you get such a dramatic effect. So I'm sold. Whatever you design from now on. In fact, I'm working on my clearly determined song.
Oh, so
which for some reason is giving me fits, but no, it was great. And this is such a great little community. You run a great group.
Oh, thank you.
So thank you.
I'm so glad. And you have
Thank
a
you.
beautiful shawl. It reminds me of that vitamin C kit.
Yeah, it was very, very similar. And the best thing was in all the daisy stitch, it happened to fall that it was a variegated yarn. So it came out all different colors.
Cool.
Which was
That's
great.
That's
So it looked even more difficult.
yes, and that's another one of those things where like it's worth the effort, right? Especially like to get that variegated in there. That's beautiful.
Totally unplanned. So it was a great knit along. I loved it. Thank you.
Yes. All right. Let's see. Harriet Schreiner. Hey. You might have to unmute yourself. Okay, good.
Yeah, I'm unmuted. I love doing this. Thank you so much for this pattern. And as you can see, I like your first choice. So I didn't use too much imagination, but I love the way it came out. It's a very wearable shawl. I've made things like we all have that you never, it was fun making it, but you never wear it. And I end up donating these things to a charity. This I definitely will. I haven't really been anywhere, but it really, I have to say, it came at a great time. I live in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and I just before this started, I ordered all of it. Just before it started, I went to the dentist to get my teeth cleaned, and I thought, oh, I'm going to be safe going to my dentist. And that afternoon, I got a call, and they said that the dentist and his wife tested positive for COVID. And it was 2 days, he had gotten tested 2 days before, so he actually didn't close his practice when he was supposed to. So I called my doctor. To make a long story short, my husband and I had to be quarantined from each other for 10 days. While I had 3 COVID tests. And so in the meantime, I had the first clue and I was working on it, and the difficulty of it was wonderful because it kept my mind occupied. I sat in this room I'm sitting in right now, this is my office, with the doors closed and everything. And this was my shrink. So I really appreciate and the way you write patterns, fantastic, because what it says is what it do. I saw people say, well, do you really have to do 2 yarn overs? Well, yes, you do whatever it says on the pattern. So thank you for your accuracy of your patterns. Really great. So I'll do the next one.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear that. Oh, I'm so sorry that you had such a rough time there. When I was designing this, it was right at the start of quarantine, and it was rough. And this was definitely a welcome distraction, so I can totally relate to that. And seeing the beauty of the wrap unfold was so exciting to me, and it really did lift my spirits a lot. So I'm glad to hear that it did that for you as well. And it's beautiful. Love your colors. Great choice. All right. Let's see. Steph Atkins. Hello.
My husband's on a call right now, so I might just, not talk too much, but love the pattern, love wearing it. Goes with everything. Goes with everything.
It does. It does. You are definitely showing the versatility. All right. Let's see. Sorry, I'm not super quick at this. Sue Sitko.
Hi, everyone. I'm from Arizona, and I live in the mountains of Arizona, so I actually can wear this winter. It's not going to be 80 degrees and sunny where I live. We actually get snow, and so I live up high, and I was very excited to do this. Thank you so much for a beautiful pattern. It was one of those love-hate sort of, God, will it ever end? But when you do it and when you're done, it is one of my most proudest achievements in knitting because it's so unusual. It was a challenge, and it was really overall just a delight. I decided to use my own stash yarns because I had so many of these fingering skeins. And so but I have to say, I really had a problem picking out my colors. I didn't think it'd be that hard to actually pick out, because I have a jillion of these fingering skeins of yarn, but when I would put things together, it just didn't work very well. And I tried and I tried. Finally, if you can look in my background picture, this teal color, the aqua, that kind of is pretty bright, was the last color that I ended up kind of going, God, would this work or not? And I pull it out, and it seemed to have worked. So I have to say, one of the hardest things was thinking, oh, I've got a million of these skeins of yarn. I am not going to buy a package of yarn, for that. I've got enough yarn. And I ended up buying the main color, this green from Capretta, from Knit Picks. And then I picked out my 7 contrasting colors, but it was really, really tough. And that taught me a lot about color, what goes and what doesn't. So this was really a good lesson too in what colors work together and what colors, more than one color in an object or more than 2 or 3 colors in an object. So that was a really good learning experience for me. And I too, also at the end of the brick pathway, I used all of my contrasting colors at the end. And then I also fringed it too. And I love the fringe because that's just how I am. So it just was a delight. I finished the fringe last night. So the whole thing was just a delight. And I love taking it on vacation. As you can see in the back, I was at Dead Horse Point State Park. We did a Four Corners trip, and my husband really became very engaged in helping me take pictures. So he was the one that would set up the pictures and all that. So it was just overall a delight. So thank you so much.
Good. I'm so glad to hear that. And you posted those beautiful pictures on Instagram, right? Like
I did. Hoping for a prize.
Yes. Well, I mean, I was delighted by your backdrop just as much as watching the.
It was fun. It was fun figuring out what looks good and how can we get a nice picture out of this. And it just was fun. It was a great experience. Thank you so much.
Good. Yes. Thank you. I'm so glad that you enjoyed it. All right. Let's see. We have Ellen. Let me see. I'm going to add you. There we go.
Oops. Okay. Hi. And I was one of the lucky ones who got a prize from posting on Instagram. Yay! Because I hardly ever post on Instagram. So I started posting this, partly just to post on Instagram and partly because I was like, well, maybe I'll get a prize. I'm not finished on time. And then I won a prize, and I love, love, love my beautiful skein of yarn that you sent. It's gorgeous. So thank you. And Sue and I are good friends. Am I lost?
We need to mute somebody. Let's see. There we go.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Sue and I and another friend, Beth, I don't know if Beth is on today, we spent many happy hours Zooming and working on our garden variety shawls. So it has been a real friendship thing as well as just a really interesting project. And I learned so much on working on this project, but like Sue said, a couple of times it was definitely a love-hate kind of thing. There was one day when I was sitting here knitting on this, and it was one of the lace patterns, and I can't remember which one it was, but I was doing something wrong, and I had to rip back rows, and find my way. And finally, at one point, I just yelled at the top of my voice. I live by myself, fortunately. I yelled at the top of my lungs, "This is not bringing me joy!"
Oh, I'm sorry.
And then I stopped and I stood up and I walked away. And then I came back and I figured out what I was doing wrong. And one of the things that helped me the most, and this was part of my learning process, was using stitch markers to mark every group of stitches. And at some point you had mentioned that in the instructions, and I didn't do it. So that was my problem. But boy, was that a learning thing for me. So, some of these stitches, I'd never done this much mosaic knitting before. I'd never done the daisies. I'd never done this much slip knitting of any sort, slip stitches. So I learned a lot, and I love my shawl. And I live in Kansas, where it's going to be warm again tomorrow. It'll be in the 60s, but we've already had some pretty hard frosts. And so I've been using my garden variety shawl as my shawl when I'm, sitting here in my house and it's a little chilly. So thank you for a really wonderful project and a wonderful end result.
Good. I'm so glad to hear that. And I mean, raise your hand if you have ever had those moments where you had to yell at your knitting. I think most of us have been there. But I mean, congratulations on picking it back up and finishing. And I know that you have that extra sense of accomplishment, like I did it.
Yeah, I made it through. And it's given me, like, I was going to start another project right after I finished this one for another knit along, and I ended up not doing it because I just got too many other things going on. But I was going to start a cardigan knit along with my local yarn store, and I picked out a really complicated pattern that I think before doing this, I would not have picked that up. I would have picked up something that was more just like maybe some texture, but not color and not structure. So I think this, and I've been knitting for 40 years. It's not like I'm a beginning knitter. This just gave me a lot more confidence to go, I can do anything. I can get through the garden variety knit along. I can do anything.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear that. I've heard several people say that like they wouldn't have taken on the challenge if it hadn't been a mystery, but you know, they didn't know what they were getting themselves into.
Right.
And then they pushed through it, and now they feel that they're a better knitter for it. And I love hearing that. My background is in education. I taught first grade for several years in kindergarten, and I always felt like I had very high expectations of my students because I felt like having high expectations, I could push them to meet those. And I guess I maybe carried some of that across with the So I am sorry. I never like to cause people moments of distress, but I am happy that you pulled through. I'm happy that the end result was worth it and that you're ready to take on the next challenge. So
Absolutely.
all right, thank you. Okay, Lisa. Let's see. There we go.
Oh, hi.
Hey.
Hey. So I loved every moment of this project. I loved the group. I loved every moment of knitting this, except maybe half the daisy stitches. And I honestly thought that while it was beautiful, it wasn't like my thing, that I loved making it, but I'd end up giving it to someone. But once it was all done and it all came together, I'm wearing it obsessively. I'm teaching on Zoom this semester, and I think my students are like, is she wearing that scarf again? But I really love it. It was just, this was my first pattern with you, and I can't wait to do something of yours again. And I appreciate this group so much. And I'm really thankful to whomever came up with the, like, put all your colors at the end. I just like how that works so well. And then my own little funky mod I did was I swapped out 2 of my kit colors, but one of them I wanted just a splash in. So I just put some scallops in my dahlias as a flower bed. And I liked that. And then I got lucky and this blocked out to be scallop too. So it all kind of like picks up on it. So I just thank you. This was just a really great group and a great experience and a great project and a beautiful wrap. And it definitely made that stretch of pandemic life so much better. So thank you so much.
Oh, sorry. I think I was giving some feedback. Yeah, thank you so much. And you were really active in the Ravelry groups, right? It's hard to see people versus their Ravelry names
Right.
and their real names, but I'm so thankful for everyone who chimed in on the Ravelry threads. Like, it was great. I think everyone was supporting each other. I know I tried to be there when everyone was choosing their colors. I wanted to try to touch base with everybody in the initial getting ready thread. And then I tried to like reach out for everyone in the last thread. But for the other ones, unless there were questions, I kind of let you guys help each other. And I didn't want to be like, I don't know, too invasive. And like, if you guys wanted to complain about it to one another, like, I didn't want to make you feel bad for that. Like, that's fine. You can complain about Daisy Stitch. I'll read it, but I won't like, or whatever the stitch is. So
no, you were a great moderator. Like, you answered our questions, you cheerleaded us, but I did feel like we could just chat away and it was a wonderful group. So yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. And you have a beautiful wrap, and I love seeing those mods. It's so fun seeing how people make it their own. It's wonderful. All right, Teresa, let me add you.
Am I there?
Yes.
Okay, so I chose a lavender loon kit.
Oh, yeah.
And I screwed up right at the beginning by using this as the main color. And so I got to rip out the whole like first section. I thought about asking if it would matter, but then I thought, no, you're in it to do it right, so just do it. So yeah, I loved how it turned out. It was a lot of fun.
Oh, it's amazing. Yeah. Sam had such unique kits. I loved seeing her kits. I actually reached out to her. We're planning a winter shawl together. So I'm really excited about that. So we'll see more lavender loon. It's beautiful. And I love,
thank you.
Really love that bright pop of turquoise. It's so pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Gorgeous. All right. Thank you. Let's see, Pat, how are you today? And, oh, let me see if I can unmute you. You might have to unmute yourself. There we go.
I think I'm unmuted.
Yes.
Okay, well, I'm very far behind. Am I unmuted?
You are, we can hear you.
Okay. I'm on my phone, so it's kind of tough here.
Okay, oh, sorry.
It's not your fault, it's mine. I'm very far behind. I've done clue 1.
Yay!
That's all I've done. I've done both halves of them. My normal inclination is I love rainbow colored with a dark background, and I was determined not to do that. I looked at the Miss Babs kits and I really wanted one. I could probably put one together from stash, but I said, no, you've got to do something different. So I had a Miss Babs minis that I got on their sale last year that was basically grays and reds, and I thought I could use it. I wasn't sure what main color to use, so I contacted them, and they're wonderful. And they basically said that set of minis isn't going to work with this because 2 of them were highly variegated. One was black and white, one was red and black. So I came up with just doing grays with the red as the main color. And I thought my red was a little redder than it is. It's a little more maroony than I would have liked, but I'd done enough of it that I didn't want to change and take everything out. I said, well, you'll live with it. And it's funny, today it looks redder than it did when I was working on it, but life got in the way. My cousin had a grandchild, and I made a blanket for the baby, and I just never got back to this. But I wanted to say, I did a lot of mystery knit-alongs, and I have never seen a designer who involved the people as much as you have. I think that the initial thing you did, the kickoff party, and this, I've seen designers do them, but it's always them talking. And the stitchers don't, and the knitters don't get to participate. And I think this is really, really nice that you let us have a say in this as well. So I just wanted to say that to you, that I think this is really great.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear that. I love it. I'm a people person. I mean, pandemic life is hard on me right now.
I know how much work it is to do this stuff too.
Yeah, I did have to. So I felt bad because I know doing the evening time sort of alienated the European crowd that was already in bed. So I had to work out a time where my husband could take the kids out. Luckily, we've got good weather here in Indiana today. So they are out hiking so that I can have some quiet here and not kids running in with their questions and needs.
Well, I can make you all either jealous of where you live or happy of where you live. I'm outside of Boston, and we had 4 inches of snow on Friday.
Oh my goodness.
Fortunately, it was sunny and warm yesterday, and it's melted. But yeah, that was not a nice Halloween trick.
You all can keep that snow. I'm good with that.
Yeah, it was supposed to be a dusting where I live, and we ended up with 4 inches.
Oh my goodness.
And Friday was one of those days. You know how when you look outside and you just think, oh, I'm so glad I don't have to go out today. It was one of those days. It was just awful.
Oh,
just horrible.
Oh no. Well, you've got your wrap and your knitting to keep.
That's right. That's right. I do intend to get back to this and finish it.
Yes. All right.
And after this, I'm going to go look at my pattern and see what this daisy stitch is that everyone's been talking about.
Be forewarned, but you can always substitute stockinette
Yes.
rows if you need to.
Yes, I know that, and I know you can also substitute some other pattern too.
That's right. Oh yeah, it's been really great to see, and I love that about the threads. Everyone's sharing their mods, and then other people using them. That's great.
Yeah.
I love that. So, all right, thank you so much.
Thank you, Lisa.
All right, hi Kelly. I'm going to add you. Here we go. Hello, how are you? Oh, you're muted. You're gonna have to unmute yourself. It's not letting me do that. There we go.
Mine isn't, I don't know. Is it definitely me? Because I haven't gotten big like everyone else did. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. I don't know. That must be a Zoom thing, but you're big on my screen. So
I chose my colors from Miss Babs. I saw some of the kits with the dark main color and I wasn't sure about that. It's a mystery knit along, so I had no idea what to expect. But after I started seeing everyone else's projects, I think I'm gonna have to make a second one of these with a dark background. Mine has the light background, and with the dark background, it's pretty amazing. So I picked purples and teals, and to put them together, there's a purple teal variegated in the middle of them.
Ooh.
And then at the end, I brought my colors back in.
I love it. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
So what colors are you thinking for our next one?
I don't know. I'm really a purple teal person, so I don't know. I just thought it really, to see all the colors pop on the dark main color, I didn't expect that at all. When I saw some of the kids had black as the main color, I'm like, ooh, a black shawl. I said, that's gonna be really dark. What can you wear that with? And then when I saw the colors pop against the black, I was really amazed.
Yeah.
I really, really love the whole MKAL. I love all your designs anyways, but the whole community feel in the threads was amazing. So awesome. And that really made it this MKAL, was to have everyone in there in the threads talking.
Good. I'm so glad to hear that. I agree. The community aspects are really awesome. It's so fun to bond together over knitting. So thanks for being a part of it.
And I'm 2.5 socks, 2.5 pairs into your other one.
Yay! It's funny because I was very curious how much overlap there would be with socks and shawls. I feel like they're different enough that it was okay to start up the knit along like I normally do for October. Didn't have to be a mystery this time with the socks, and to see how many people jumped from one to the next. And that's really exciting. I love seeing familiar faces and people coming back. It's high praise. Anytime someone wants to knit one of my patterns again, you know, after putting up with me for for the first one, that's very that's an honor. I really appreciate it. So thanks.
Well, keep up with all your amazing designs. I really appreciate them all.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Let's see, we have C. Veranda. Going to spotlight you.
Okay.
Okay, now we can hear you.
Okay. Hi, Lisa. How are you?
Hi.
I am on clue 3, and I was so confused because, and in fact, I emailed you, and I thought, oh, she must really think I'm crazy, because I couldn't understand in clue 3 why there wasn't a place to start decreasing as in clue 2.
And in my home, Christmas is a time for
you know how you have a knitting question.
And family, which leads me to a little announcement I would like to make.
Okay, there we go. Sorry.
So I emailed you because I thought, you know, you hate to go with your knitting question unanswered before you go to bed. And then I was cooking dinner and it dawned on me, I thought, could the shawl be asymmetrical? Because I was being very careful not to look ahead at the clues, but at that point, I decided I would. I'm using a kit from Yarn Culture in Fairport, New York.
Yeah.
And this is the balayage, I think that's how it's pronounced, balayage yarn. And
nice.
Yeah, I substituted one color because I have other yarn by the same the same yarn, but I'm enjoying it. I'm from Rochester, New York, and I will definitely get use out of this. In fact, today is a good day.
Good. Oh, I'm so glad to hear that. And that's beautiful. That's exciting to see that kit knit up. I had worked with Patty of Yarn Culture a lot to curate those kits. And so
Yeah, and she's great. She has a good sense of color anyway. Yeah. And so I was really happy to buy one of her kits. I thought, and she suggested the order, and I was, trying different orders. I thought, I'm just going to trust her. So anyway, I'm, really happy, and this was fun. And I am not going to stop knitting it until I'm done, because I can just see starting another project, this gets put in the corner. I have too many of those.
Right.
And especially after seeing all the finished results, I want to finish it.
Yeah,
so.
Good. I'm so glad to hear that. Well, thanks for joining.
Okay.
All right, next we have Judy. I'm going to add a spotlight. There we go. Oh, we can't hear you yet.
There we go. Well, Lisa, I did the same colors as yours.
Beautiful.
And I love them. And I have one suggestion.
Yes.
And that was clue 2 and clue 3 when we were worried about running out of yarn on the dahlias.
Yes.
If I were to have thought of it, I would have done, all of the dahlias together. In other words, on clue 2 and clue 3, do, 2 of the patterns on each side. And then for the second part of the clue, do 2 of the patterns on each side. And that way, if I had run out, I wouldn't have said, well, do I call Miss Babs and get more yarn? Or do I play yarn chicken? Or do I make it, so one side has more than the other? So that would be my suggestion.
Okay, yeah, that's good to know.
And at the same time I was knitting this, I was test knitting 3 other patterns for you. I did 2 of the socks. My Ravelry's name is Miriam's daughter.
Yes.
So 2 of the socks, and I also did the shawl that you've got hanging behind you.
Oh.
And I will say I've test knit for a lot of designers in the past, here, there, and around. And of all of them, you're the one who has most taken thoughtful introspection of the comments that your test knitters make, and have really incorporated them, rather than say, well, the only reason I have you test knitting is so that'll have some project pages up when the thing goes live. Which is what I think a lot of designers do. They get test knitters so that there'll be enough projects so people can see the design, but they don't really have much interest in hearing what you have to say. But especially on that last pair of socks with the unique heel design, the Cleverly Practical, I think they were, you really paid attention and you put extra markers in, and it made a whole lot of sense that you paid attention to what we were saying.
Oh, well, thank you. I really appreciate that. I really do want my patterns to be perfect, or as perfect as I can make them. And so I'm so appreciative of all of my testers who weigh in on that stuff. So thank you. And thank you.
I also just finished Indiana Sunset. So I've done a lot of your patterns.
Yes, that's right. You used the fiber optics.
I did.
Right? Yeah, beautiful. And thank you so much for all of your help with the testing. And I did not realize your name was Judy.
Well, that's okay. My mother taught me how to knit when I was 4, and she died around the time that Ravelry went live. So I thought it was a great way to use the Icelandic Miriam's daughter to honor her, and her having taught me how to knit so many 70 odd years ago.
Yeah, that's a lovely tribute. Yeah. Well, thank you so much. And thanks for joining all of the fun and knitting all of the designs. It keeps me in business. So thank you. All right, let's see. Ellen Shapiro. Well, you have a beautiful background there.
That is, doesn't look like that anymore. It looked like that about a week and a half ago. Now everything is gray and disgusting and slimy. I am in Troy, New York. I'm in upstate New York. So it's gross right now.
Oh, no.
So let me just say that you are one of 2 or maybe 3 designers with whom I will actually do a mystery knit along.
Oh, thank you.
I'm the outlier. I don't like them at all because invariably I'm disappointed. Your patterns are fabulous. I've made a number of socks. I'm knitting flutist. So,
yes.
okay. So I've done a number of your socks. I've done, your patterns are extraordinarily well written. I've been knitting for close to 40 years and there's a lot of crap out there and yours are just fabulous.
Thank you
So this is the Miss Babs kit that disappointed me. It's just murky. This was Rose Bower. And the green is just too dark. The combinations, some of the combinations are good. Some of the combinations are not so good. So on the whole, here it is. It's so big, it's kind of hard to show off. Let's see if we can do that. And I didn't mind the daisies, by the way. I didn't mind the daisies. Once you got into the routine, I didn't mind them at all. It's really warm. It's really just a lovely pattern. I would definitely do it again. And I think what I would probably do is use the Lolo Did It kit that I ordered originally with the pastels, because the pastels and that gray will pop much more. Because I think that this is just a little murky in here for my taste.
Yeah.
You know, with the maroon, they just don't contrast enough. The other possibility is I could have rearranged them differently because I saw at least one other person had the same kit and I liked hers better than mine. And I think it's just because of the way they were arranged.
Yeah, that is a really tricky thing with a mystery knit along and arranging the colors. And, you know, I personally think your rep is beautiful. I think it's absolutely gorgeous. But I also can relate to that. I have finished patterns and just been so disappointed in the colors. You know,
actually, this is the murky section. This is not from here, are we? That's the murky section.
Yeah.
Where it just is kind of blah. I would definitely do it again. I would consider doing it in a gradient, or I would consider doing it in 2 colors, just plain old 2 colors, you know, 2 high contrast colors. I think it would look great with just 2 colors.
Yeah, somebody just sent me an email of 2 colors that they're planning to do a second one in just 2 colors.
Yeah.
And I agree. I think that will be gorgeous.
I think it would look great. And I would just, for those of you who haven't knitted many of her patterns, Lisa writes the most clear, easily understandable patterns with charts and with written instructions and with stitch counts.
Well, thank you.
Some of us don't really know how to count even after all these years, and it really helps to have the stitch counts in there. So I'm not doing any of the socks this time around because I have I bought the patterns. I'm not doing any of the socks this time around because I have too many other things that I have to do, but I'll get to them, I'm sure. I will get to them, I'm sure. So thanks again.
Yeah, and thank you for being so active. You've done quite a few of my knit alongs and I really appreciate that.
They're fun. They're a lot of fun. Good. They're a lot of fun.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So much. Let's see, Lucy Portland. Oh, you're muted.
There you go.
Oh, there you go. Okay, great.
This was the first pattern that I did of yours. I did not mind the daisy stitches. The garden trellis was, to me, was intense. And that took a while for me to do. And I think it helped keep my brain fresh. I used the same colors that you did, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. And I am so glad that pattern 3 or section 3 and 4 weren't the same as 1 and 2. Mm-hmm. I have another mystery make along that I put aside because it's too much just knitting and purling. And I just didn't want to do that. I wanted something that would challenge me a little bit and help keep me focused. So I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Good. I'm so glad to hear that.
I bought the socks and I bought the kit from Lolo Did It. but I didn't start to make them yet because I have other things on my needles, but I will because I love how homemade socks feel on your feet.
Oh yeah, socks are my
Oh,
favorite. And
they're great. So I would do another knit along as well.
Oh, great. Awesome.
your
Well, I've
patterns.
already talked to Miss Babs, and we're gonna plan for the same time next year to do another one. So now I just have to figure out how to make a wrap that everyone's going to love.
Oh, I think that's impossible.
It is.
You
It's
can't,
impossible.
you can never, I taught school, you can't please everybody.
No, you can't, but it's
You
not
can't.
gonna stop me from trying.
You
So
can't.
we'll see what I can do.
But I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was great. My wrap's upstairs. I'm too lazy to go upstairs right now and get it because it's just a dreary day in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, no worries. Well, thank you for joining. It was so great to have you.
Thank you.
All right, Irene. Yeah, there we go.
There we go. I'm unmuted.
Yes.
Well, I was late, so I'm here in my swimsuit.
Oh, awesome.
So this is coming in very handy right now.
Hey, we've got snow in New York, and we've got a swimsuit, and
Yeah, we got 85-degree weather in Florida. I also finished up, it's blacking out, using all the colors at the end because the pattern I had was Emma's yarn, and it was a Jackie O combo. So it had all the light background, but it had yellow and a pale green, and those just didn't work with the white. So to end up with that, I had to go ahead with the darker colors to end it.
It's
beautiful. Other than that, it was fine. It was a challenge. Twice I lost all the yarn off my needles. It was accidents. And of course it had to be on a complicated thing. It couldn't possibly have been during a garter stitch. So twice I had to do a lot of rip backs to get going. But I finished late. I didn't care. I have brought it to my other yarn groups and everyone has just loved it. It's not my color palette. I wouldn't normally go with so much pastels, but I had no idea what I was making. So I thought it was a little safer to have the light color as the main one for something that I had no idea what was going to happen. So I'm glad I chose that, but I would do it again with a very dark, bright contrast. I thought those look so stunning.
Good. Yeah. Well, I'm so glad to hear that. And I agree. It's so hard to know how things are going to look, knit up. And I really love watching all of the different wraps emerge and how different they all are. It's fantastic.
So, but yes, it works as a swimsuit cover up as well as cold weather wrap.
Love it. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, Brenda, Maine, how are you?
Hello.
Hey.
All right. Let's see. I use Destination Yarn tonal kit. So maybe I can. Here's mine.
Ooh, the Seaside kit, I think.
Yes, Seascape. Yep.
Oh, Seascape. Okay.
So this was my first design with you. It's my first thing I've ever made of yours. And I heard about it from Jean's email and absolutely love it. And now I'm making clearly determined socks. I just started. So yeah, I agree with everybody. Your designs are very well written. I personally didn't mind the daisy stitch only because I had just done that stitch on socks on size 1 needles and almost put them aside. And I finally said I would finish it and I did. So for me, the star stitch wasn't too bad. I agree with somebody in the chat. The dahlias kind of made me a little sometimes, but I love it. It's beautiful. Thank you. This is gorgeous.
Good. I'm so glad to hear that. And that's absolutely beautiful. I loved how that seaside or seascape turned out. Jean's yarns went like that. I mean,
she's great.
Come in stock.
Yes. I would also make it with a very dark background again with other colors, and knowing what it turns out to be, I'm excited to pick colors next time.
Oh,
so
awesome.
Well done. Thank you.
Yeah. You mentioned about the dahlia stitch. I'm going to throw out a little behind the scenes bit with that. So I had found it and I had swatched it and I hadn't written down where I had found that stitch. And I was writing the pattern. And so I wrote it, I created the tutorial and everything, but I couldn't find the original like book to reference exactly how it was done. So it turns out the way that I did it was a modified version of what was in a stitch dictionary that I had found, which, by the way, it was called ornamental stitch instead of dahlia stitch. I actually searched a lot of different flower photos to try to see what I thought it could be, and reached out to some friends and was like, what flower does this look like? So when I went to try and find like pre-made tutorials that I could link, none of them showed the way that I did it. And so I had to create my own, and I know that caused it. I was disappointed in how the tutorial video turned out for that, but given our situation with all the boys home and trying to get them out of the house long enough that I could film something, I went with that. But luckily had like close-ups of the photos that I had taken to show how to do it and stuff. So anyway, that's a little behind the scenes on dahlias. So yeah, well, thank you. You have a beautiful pattern. Thank you for joining.
Thank you.
Let's see, Beth. I don't know how to say your last name.
Dykstra.
Dykstra. Okay.
Yeah. Hi.
Hi.
I'm still working on it. I'm so close to the end. I did a stash, busted my stash, and I tried to model it after the color, the Miss Babs color I think that you're wearing.
Uh-huh.
So I've got some really bright colors. The yarn is from Knit Picks. I had bought a kit from them years ago to make all these really cool little Christmas ornaments, and up until recently I was working, and I'm now retired, so I have time, and so this is awesome. I'm one of the trio of Ellen and Sue. They're my enablers to talk me into doing things where I have a lot of doubt. Like, I've never done a knit along, I've never done a mystery knit along. I usually know where I'm going and then accommodate. So this was really fun, and I learned a lot. I've knit, I've been knitting for quite a while, but I pretty much stick to some of the same type of things. And so to incorporate a lot of different colors is different for me, and the different stitches, and it's really good. And I have to say I don't have the page, but way back in the beginning in the introduction, like how to pick your colors, because I knew I wasn't going to do a kit. I was going to try and relieve the closet of some items. And you had that suggestion to take a black and white photo so the contrast actually shows up rather than the color. And I thought that was a really good tip, and I've used that for a couple other things, some of the sewing that I've been doing to try and pick that up, because I'm trying to learn more about color. And yeah, so it's really been fun. And two other points that I think are great is, one is to see how everybody interprets basically the same instruction, the same directions, and change up the color, do the modifications or follow, but still do different colors. It's fascinating to watch, like on Instagram, to see what was going on Ravelry too. It's great. And then the other thing is just a sense of community. And I'm just assuming that all knit-alongs and mystery knit-alongs are like this, where you have a great community. And it's been a lot of fun. Sue and Ellen and I have been Zooming once a week, a couple times a week, to sit down and knit. And they're always ahead of me, and I'm whining about the daisies, and then I'm whining about the dahlias, and then I'm whining about the ferns, and I just keep going with it. And the other thing I've been doing is Zooming with my elderly aunts who are basically in their lockdown in their assisted living homes. And so every Friday we get together and we do a little photo slideshow. And so I've been bringing them along with this because they used to knit and they don't anymore. And so I always talk about where I am on the knit along and they give me encouragement. So it's served a lot of purpose. I'm almost done. I might actually finish tonight. Maybe we'll see. But thank you very much and appreciate it. And thanks to the whole community for the experience.
Yeah, I love that. I love that you guys were having Zooms where you could work on it together and commiserate or cheer each other on. I love that. I definitely have groups of knitting friends across the country and even internationally that it's just so great to sit and knit and talk with them. And I feel like that is one good thing that's come out of the pandemic is being able to have this community online and Zooming with people, or Marco Polo is another app that I use a lot with friends where it's just like you take little videos of yourselves and send them to the group. And that's been really a great way to touch base with people in like different time zones or people who have different sleep schedules than I do, because you can leave the messages and they can watch it at any time. And so any visual app is a great thing for knitters, and I'm so appreciative of the technology that we have. So yeah, thank you so much. I'm so glad that you joined it, and good luck. I hope you finish tonight. All right, let's see, Elizabeth Kristenberry. Hello.
Hi. This is my first time to have done any of your patterns, and it's also my first time to do a mystery knit along or any kind of knit along. So a lot of firsts for me. I completely agree. You write a beautiful pattern, and even though it's a new experience, I'm sold because now I'm doing your autumn mist shawl. So, this one, I did stone crop, I'm wearing it, and I'm not really done because I haven't blocked it, and I also haven't cut off all of my string. Do you wait till after you block it to cut them? I have been, there's so many ends to cut off. I'm dreading that. So I would love to know when you cut them off. Do you wait till after you block?
So I usually trim them before I block it, but I leave maybe a 1/2 inch. And then I should go back and finish trimming them after I block it, trimming them more. But a lot of times I forget, and I'll be doing a photo shoot and like, oh no, I forgot. So sometimes they just, stay on there. I don't trim them too short before blocking, because when it comes to shawls, I do stretch and pin as much as I can, like to get that really beautiful drapey fabric and really like stretch out the knitting to be as magnificent as it can be. So that's how I do it.
That's great. I've learned so much from this. One thing I learned is it's really, really important to, when you pick it up for the first time that day, to not depend on my memory of what the pattern was. I have not ever done so much tearing out and re-knitting as in this. It took me forever to do it because I just thought I remembered, and then I wouldn't have. So, so that was humbling. I also learned about stitch markers. I'd never really used them before. And also some of you helped me to become more competent with Knit Companion. And I found that to be really, really helpful too. So I learned a lot. It was a lot of fun, and I look forward to doing more. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for joining, and thanks for taking on the challenge and for persevering through all the ripping. I definitely do that on a weekly basis. I'm like, I know what I'm doing, and then why didn't I just look at my notes? Why didn't I just glance at the pattern? And instead I end up ripping. It's especially a problem if I leave my iPad upstairs, because then I would have to walk up and get it. And I'm like, but I remember. And I'm gradually learning to stop doing that. Always check.
Yep, you're singing my song there.
You're not alone. I think it's just our human faults, right? So
Thank you.
Beautiful wrap. And thank you for joining. And thank you to everyone who chimed in with the Help with Knit Companion, because that is one program I don't use and could appreciate everyone else helping out with that. So, all right, let's see. Diane. Spotlight, how are you today? You'll have to unmute yourself. It's not letting me.
There we go. I'm good. I'm good. So I had an existing 7 mini kit from Miss Babs that I had gotten for something else. So I added a blue to it, and did sort of a muted browns and greens, which is exactly the color of everything in my yard. I don't do well with flowering plants. I have a lot of invasives that.
That sounds like my kind of gardening.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. I just planted some native perennials, so we'll see if they have a chance to compete with the honeysuckle. But I have a walnut grove that started in my yard. I've got about five mature trees now. So I loved working on this. I have not run in any of my ends yet, so that'll be just like one evening's task where I just sit down with a needle and run everything in. I do have a couple of places where on the garter stitch sections, after I did the purl on the center stitch, I forgot to go back to do the garter stitch. So there are a couple of places where there's some stockinette in between the garter. The only thing that I have a question about was my trellises. My trellises did not do the interlocking rings that I've seen on so many of the projects, but I have seen other projects on Ravelry that kind of look like mine. So I don't know if it might be the way the colors, that I don't have enough contrast in the colors.
Okay.
Or it might be because I knit fairly loose, but I'd look and it's like, those look like perfectly interlocking rings and mine doesn't look anything like that.
Yeah, it's hard to see on the Zoom, but you could send me a photo of it via email and I can take a better look. My guess is that it was just certain rows, things probably just didn't get slipped where they were supposed to.
That might be. So, but that's certainly not going to affect the finished look of the shawl. And
that's one of those things that you're going to be the only one who sees that mistake, because even people who've knitted, they're not going to notice like
exactly
the graphic appeal of the finished product. You're not going to see that. So.
Yeah, and it's and I did end a little bit sooner than the pattern. I think mostly because I needed the needle, and it was like I just want to get this off the needle so I can start something else, because I have a bad case of startitis.
Yeah, I get that.
but I loved the way it turned out. I really enjoyed working on it. I wasn't in the Ravelry group as much because it was either I can knit or I can go on Ravelry.
Yeah.
And I opted to knit. So yes, thank you so much. I'm actually just getting ready to cast on Woodland Journey.
Oh, awesome.
With the fiber optic Rhinebeck 6-pack.
Oh,
so I'm really looking forward to seeing how that.
Yes, and is it her like cashmere?
Yeah, it's the cashmere base, which I just
creamy. Oh my goodness! Yeah.
And I do have after the cast on Zoom party that we had, I did fall in love with the Rosebauer colors, so I have that to do a second one.
Oh, that's amazing!
But after listening to the previous comment on that one, I'm going to be careful about
how you like your colors,
how I arrange my colors, and seeing it finished now. I'll know, like, okay, like for the daisies, I want a brighter color. Because my daisies ended up being sort of a yellowy green color.
Yeah, and I can totally understand people who are who would rather see it finished, see the mystery revealed, and then make the call on whether you want to knit it and how you want to knit it, because knitting for me is really about making something your own, like doing it how you want, like based on your loves and your knowledge and colors that you like together or colors that you'll wear. modifying it. And so I can definitely understand that. So I'm excited to see, and I love that so many people are already planning out their second wraps.
And it really it really went well. It's a really comfortable shawl to wear.
Good. Good. I'm so glad. Well, thank you for joining.
Absolutely.
All right. Sarah Baker. Hello.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I'm in Ohio, and I am not done yet, but I'm on clue 3, and I also did one of Jean's kits, but I did the mountainscape.
Ooh, yeah.
So it's gray and purple, which I love, and this is also my first mystery knit along. Brenda is my enabler, and this is also my first pattern of yours. So I really enjoyed doing it. I agree, your patterns are wonderful to go through, and I appreciate that. And the daisies were my least favorite, but it's okay. We got through them, and they do look nice once they're done, but I had a little crochet hook I had to use to get them finished. So
yeah, I love the tips that people threw out there in the Ravelry group. Like someone had said about using a smaller needle to go back and redo that, or to do them with a smaller needle or something. And I think all the tips, we got through them together, guys. We did it.
I'm a really tight knitter, so those were a little hard, but other than that, I love it. I'll be honest, it's been in timeout for a little bit, but it is in the list of things to finish, and I do want to finish it, but I really enjoy how it's knitting up. So
good. What part of Ohio, can I ask? I'm an Ohio girl.
Oh, I'm in Columbus. Brenda and I are in Columbus.
Ah, okay. I grew up in Cincinnati. My husband's from close to Cleveland, and we went to school in Dayton, and my in-laws live in Columbus. So we're all over that state when we are not in a pandemic.
Yeah, we went up to Jean's studio last year. Yeah, and I love her yarn. It's just great. So when we saw that she had a kit come out, we were like, oh, well, we'll have to do it. So
yeah, that's awesome. She's so fantastic. I really
love she is.
Oh, good.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, Claire. Hello. Yeah, you.
Hi. So I am, hang on. I just finished clue 1. I started and then I had to rip out because I didn't read the directions and I had the same color. And, so this is the one that I finished, the first one.
Wow.
And I got it from Miss Babs because I got the email and I looked at the kits, and I'm not actually a big beige fan, but these were the colors I really liked. And then I've been texting some friends of mine that we go to Stitches together. We've been texting pictures and stuff because we live all over the country. And they said that they liked it better than if it was white, because I've used white, but I didn't want white. But these were the colors I like. So I have to admit, yesterday, because when I got finished, I was excited. I loved the first one. And then I was like, oh, I got to do it again. I don't really like to do things twice. So I got about halfway and then I put it down. And then every now and then I would do, but yesterday I said, okay, I'm going to finish clue 1 before I come and do this tomorrow. So then I can start my clue 2, because I've seen the clue 2, I've read it, and then I have stayed away because I didn't want surprises since I was so far behind. So this is my second clue, which I did actually finish yesterday, or maybe this morning.
It's beautiful. I love how that vitamin C kit is knitting up. That was probably one of my least favorites when I saw just the yarns, but seeing it knit up, oh my gosh, it's beautiful.
Yeah, I really love the colors, and I've never done a pattern of yours because she's one that told me about it. But I also like the number count at the end of certain rows. That's really helpful because I would be off sometimes. And then sometimes I would just sort of like do an extra yarn over, create a stitch in the decrease, because I do a lot of lace, and when you've done enough lace, you can figure out where you can fudge it a little bit so it's not obvious. So yeah, and I have all my yarns in this plate here.
Love it.
Yeah, well, my mother passed away in February, and about 3 weeks before we closed down, because I'm in California, so we closed down like the middle of March. And so I went like beginning of March to get stuff of mine and everything. And I saw this and I was like, oh, I remember that. And you can't tell, but underneath all the fruit, there's like grapes. This because it's designed for fruit. So there's like all these different kinds of fruit in the glass. And now I thought, oh, this would be fun. Put all my yarns in this fruit plate. And then everything is together and I know where it is. So yeah. So I'm looking forward to getting farther. See how it goes.
Yeah, I hope you enjoy it. And I hope we didn't scare you off about the daisy stitch. There were some people that loved it, so.
Well, I've done a lot of different things. I don't actually know what the daisy stitch is, but I'm going to look at it and see. But I've done a lot of nups, and I've done what I call chicken feet, where it's this three, I don't know what it's called. I call it chicken feet.
Yeah.
And I did a lot with beads. I did a lot of lace with beads. So I've done a lot of complicated things. So this was actually, for me, the more simplified side.
Yes.
So far.
Yeah. Clue 1 definitely eases you into things. So it does get a little bit trickier, but hopefully it doesn't sound like it'll be anything you won't be able to handle. So good luck and enjoy. And I'm sorry to hear about your mom, but that's such a nice way to have her next to you, like a piece of her right there with you. So,
which was 87. So she'd had a really long life. She did a lot of things. So,
yeah. All right. Well, thank you. Let me see. Lila, hello.
Hi, Lisa.
How are you doing?
I'm fine. As a former first grade teacher, I can relate to the colors that you have. I mean, that's primary colors and very attractive. I chose the Himalaya salt from Emma and started working it up, and it didn't grab me. It's too pale. So I've been, feasting on all the photographs that people are posting and on this call, seeing all the combinations, because I really do want to knit the shawl, but I kind of put it on the side. And I'm part of a small group in our local knitting store where we did a Zoom on this shawl. So, they've been teasing me about, have you started yet? And I said, well, at least I got the balls wound, I'm on the road. But I've tried rearranging it and I'm still not excited. And I figure that's the clue that I need to find different yarn or maybe swap out 1 or 2 colors from that. It seems to me too muted. And I'm concerned that I really won't appreciate the stitches as much. So, but
I totally understand. I mean, if the colors, even if you like them in the abstract, in a photo or even right in front of you, sometimes they don't work for the pattern or sometimes they don't work for you personally. And I think that with a project like this that's so large, you want it to be something that you love and that you're excited about, because that's the only way you're going to get it finished. And I know that those kits are such an investment, but there are other patterns that might highlight that in a better way. So I actually have quite a few patterns which would work with similar kits. Coastal Highway is one that you might want to take a look at because it's more color blocked. And so if you love those colors, but more in like big chunks, Coastal Highway would be a good option for you. And you can use that code Many Thanks right now to get 40% off of any of my designs.
Thank you.
And another option, if you wanted to omit the main color, would be Woodland Journey. And that one would allow you to just use the minis, which might be something that you like better. And I have, there are some other options, I won't go through them all, but you can take a look at my Ravelry store and see if there's anything that draws your attention or that might fit those colors in a way that you like better. So take a look at that. I would also encourage you, if you're not quite ready to give up on the Garden Variety, find that kit and search it on Ravelry, see who has it knit up and see if there are any versions that you love that you can put your yarn in that order and then come up with a wrap that you really do love. So because
Yeah.
that's important.
Yeah, no, I'll do that. And I put it in the chat, but when people are talking about weaving their ends in, I was working on another knit along that recommended Stephen West's YouTube video called Weavin' Stephen.
Yeah, so that I actually put
Yeah.
that as
And
a
you did,
recommendation.
okay, yeah, that's where I got it from. And I've been using that. So thank you for that.
Yes. Yeah, the way
Yeah.
that I weave in my ends is similar to the way that he does it, but it's more complicated. And so I've never felt comfortable telling people my method because I feel like it's complicated. But he put out that video, I think last spring, and I saw that and like kept it in my mind. Like, I need to tell people about this because it's a great way. I love putting lots of colors in my knitting, but man, weaving in the ends is not my favorite thing.
Yeah. And would you have any other stitch that you would recommend in place of the trellis stitch?
So you could either just substitute stripes, stockinette stripes with garter stripes, which I think would look great in that section. Doing, every other, I think that would look fantastic, but you could substitute a different mosaic knitting pattern, or one of the things, one of my testers worked the whole thing in stockinette instead of using the garter version of the MC. And so that could be another option that you might like better, is how it looks in stockinette.
Okay, well, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure meeting you, and I look forward to doing more knitting with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for joining. Okay, Jay Bates. I'm going to spotlight you. There we go.
Okay, I'm off mute. Hi there. So I actually wanted to, Lila, I was in the same boat as you were with Himalayan salt. I thought it was going to be a more sort of variegated, kind of pinky color than peach. And there was somebody else in my group also who I did, the same situation. So don't feel like you're the only one out there. We're in the same boat. I actually did a substitution. I'm not that far because I got so frustrated. So just because of the color situation, but everything else. So what I did was I chose the navy blaze as the main color, and I actually substituted the denim for this other color called Hydra. Hold on a second. It's called Hydra something. Anyway, it worked out, and I think it gives it a nice pop. It's definitely more subtle, this example, but it just goes to show that though the Himalayan salt, which you see is right here,
yeah,
I did it more as I, rearrange the colors. I'd be happy to pass on what I did if you like this.
That would be great.
Okay,
that would be great. What's are you on Ravelry?
I am. I'm under Jay Bates, but I'm sure we can I'll try to find you somehow. If you want to just put your
I can put my email.
Yeah, that'd be great. I can tell you that I've never done a knit along, a mystery knit along. You're the first one. You're hearing that from a lot of other people. I'm in a group. I'm actually from the Washington, D.C. area, everybody. I'm in Bethesda. And I drank the Kool-Aid and joined the ladies. That's what I said. And they said to me, okay, Joy. And then we got into this, and it was the color thing. But I am enjoying it. I think it's definitely something, the variety is definitely has intrigued me. It's definitely a one more row, and I keep saying one more row, and I'm going to continue on this. But I have to say, Lisa, that it's for an introduction into the mystery knit along, and I've been watching people's chats. I'm not one to chat and doing that, but the ideas out here. I mean, my question to you is, how many people did actually sign up to do this? Ultimately, did you get numbers for this? Because I would love to hear how many people jumped in, for this.
So that's a good question. I'm actually not sure of the final number of people who purchased the pattern, but I did see, I think that like as of last night, there were like 800 something project pages created. There were definitely more people than that who bought the pattern. But I know a lot of times I'm one who buys a lot of patterns, but doesn't always get them knit right away. So I think we had around 300 finished for prizes, like finished by the time frame for prizes. And I think 3 of those people had knit 2 versions in that time frame, which is amazing.
Right. Well, Judy, who you met earlier, Miriam, or whatever, she's in my group, so she's out of Richmond. So we're all, we have, people up and down. At this point, people are up in Maine, and people are also, out in Ohio. And what's helped us is we all used to be here, and then people, because of, retirement, COVID, whatever, have kind of spanned out. And it's been a lovely way with this Zoom to kind of bring us all back together.
Yeah, definitely.
Regular basis. And I think I'm seeing people bob heads, and I think that was also, a really a special thing to have, whether, we were doing this or not. I thought it was great. So thank you very much. And I look forward to your future patterns. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know you're still working on it, but I'll keep those threads in my Ravelry group. So feel free to stick in your pictures as you go, or your finished wrap, so that people on Ravelry can see and comment if that's something you want or feel comfortable with. So
thank you.
I'd love to see it, or just email it to me, because I love every single one, seeing it finished. It's amazing. So I think that's a great idea. Substituting the main color can make
right. It made a huge, yes, it made a total difference. And I went with 4, I worked with 4 pearls anyway, and I knew this, and they were lovely. I mean, they're out of Winter Park, Florida. I'd never worked with them either. Ms. Babsky too. And I just said, okay, can you guys just line this out? And, I had the colors and I was lining it out, and I said, here's the navy blaze, boom, between the 2 colors, boom, 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 boom. And then finally he said, I know I need this color. And, I'd seen it online. It's called heliotrope. Actually, I looked it up quickly. And with their, I had somebody else, and they were kind of substituting other patterns. And then they said, talk to this woman. She's got the colors. And I said, okay. I called her. She goes, I really think you should use heliotrope. And I'm like, oh my God, that's the color I looked at last night. That's what I want. And then she was nice enough when she put it out, she goes, and I'm going to send you the lightest one I have. So, you know what I mean? Like, so it definitely, they got it. They got what I was doing. I mean, it was great. And I can, it was just another way too, to kind of see these other local yarn stores too. So anyway, that's enough of my chatty, but thank you so much again. And Lila, again, if you want to, you want to message me, no problem.
Okay, yeah. I just put it in a personal link in the chat.
Yep, no problem.
Look forward to hearing from you.
Okay, bye-bye.
All right, thank you so much. I'm gonna switch to Megan now. Hello, how are you?
Hi, I'm coming from Twin Cities, Minnesota, and it's 30 degrees here, so I've been wearing this a lot, trying to stay warm. I did the Emma's yarn with the dark grayish background and the jewel tone sort of colors, and I can't remember the name that it was, but it turned out really beautiful, and I'm very pleased and delighted with it. So I have done some mystery knit-alongs before, and this is probably one of the more complicated ones, but I'm really happy with the product in the end, and I don't know if I would have taken it on. By seeing the full finish, I might have said that's too hard for me, but now that I did it, I'm encouraged to try other new things, I think. So
it's I absolutely love those colors and how that turned out. It's beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah, and this is the first pattern that I've done by you, but I also have 4 sons just like you. So when the last meeting you were talking about your little vest.
Oh, yes.
And
the brothers, yeah.
And the brothers, yeah. So I'm starting one of these for a Thanksgiving vest for one of the boys. So that should be fun and working on it now. And thanks for doing your Zoom during the Vikings Packers game because it gave me a few minutes to join it. They're all watching that now. So.
Oh my goodness, I did not
timing
football. Like, it is so off my radar because I am not a sports person. So
I do my knitting during the games, so I'm happy that that worked out.
Good. Well, thank you for joining, and thanks so much. You have a beautiful wrap.
Thank you.
So I should tell you all, I am really bad at reading chats while talking to people and doing these Zooms. So I've tried to pull it up and glance at it every now and then, but I'm so focused on whoever's talking or what I need to say or do next. But I did notice someone was asking what colors I used for the sample. So you can, this was one of the Miss Babs kits, and it's called Garden Variety because it was the kit created specifically for the sample. And it is a dark blue. The dark blue is called MKAL, like MCHALE. And then the minis are rainbow minis, but they are still selling kits. They're actually going to include the big reveal in their upcoming newsletter, and so those will be available. They've continued to sell kits for this as people are seeing what they're getting their hands onto. So anyway, hopefully that answers that question. And if I'm missing anyone's questions in the chat, just feel free to shout at me because I am really bad at reading the chat. So I'm going to go on to Cheryl, SMA Knit. Going to spotlight you.
So mine, I jumped on the knit along the day after it started. It was shared in one of my knitting groups. And so I went stash diving because another knit along that I was working on, I used stash. So I actually did mine in DK weight. So I don't know how much bigger it is than everyone else. And it's a cotton and linen blend, but I live in Florida, so I think it'll be perfect. But that's and all of it. And I love the mosaic knitting. I can't wait. I've already added 6 more mosaic patterns to my queue. And I really enjoyed it. The daisy stitch was challenging. I was very happy it decreased. And then when I got to the other side and realized there was more and it didn't decrease, I persevered. It took me a little bit longer for that section, but I'm glad I did it, and I'm extremely proud of it. But it was a lot of fun. So thank you for hosting it. And I'm look forward to knitting more of your patterns.
That's gorgeous. I love that you dove in with a DK weight, and you probably have an amazing schlanket, with the shawl/blankets, and a cotton linen blend. That sounds amazing. So I love that. And being able to use stash yarns. I don't know if this was the case, but for me, whenever I stash dive for a project, it's bits and bobs here and there, things that I used in other places. And then it's sort of like one of those cozy memories blankets.
Yes.
Remember all of the different projects that are now coming together to create something new. So
yeah, and the souvenir yarn that you put together, and you're like, oh, I remember this trip. And yes, so and I did put some of the colors together for your palette cardigan that you have. But then I decided I think I'm going to knit that in a light wool because I went through and so instead of the cotton and linen blend, so I'm going to switch that one. But that I had saved some of this yarn for that one, but it had been purchased many years ago on a yarn crawl, and so I was like, oh, this will be, I have enough of this. So it worked out.
Good.
So,
Yeah, I think I'm actually going to knit another one of my palette sweaters this year. It is definitely like one of my most worn sweaters, and I just love it. So I'm glad to hear that. All right, thank you. And let me see. Who haven't we talked to yet? So Celia, your video's not on, but are you interested in being spotlighted? Celia? Okay. Rita Cohen, would you like to be spotlighted? All right.
Sure.
Okay. Do you want to use your video or not use your video?
Oh, I can.
Okay, that would be great.
Yeah, I can use. Oh, hi.
Hi.
I'm up to clue four. Clue 4. Yeah, I have one more row of clue 3, and then I will be doing clue 4. I'm using your colors, and I love the colors. And this is my very first knit along, and I had written to you many times at the beginning because I couldn't figure out how to do Ravelry. I had no idea Ravelry was not just buying a pattern. And I've been knitting for many, many years. My mom taught me, and I do shawls and baby blankets, and sometimes I do sweaters, but I tend to just let them go. I don't finish them. But this was amazing, and I just had such a good time. And I put in the chat, I don't think I'll be able to do any other designers knit along. I think I'm spoiled. And I thought your directions were amazing.
Good. Oh, that makes me so happy. I'm so glad to hear that. And I'm so glad that you joined. It really, I had no idea what kind of response I was going to get. I just work hard to put out a good product and hopefully have lots of happy knitters. That's always the goal. So I'm so glad to hear that was successful.
Yeah, it was great. I really enjoyed it. And I'm still enjoying it. I'm going to be sad when it's over.
Oh, good. Well, I'm so glad that you're enjoying it, and I know Ravelry. It is a lot to navigate, and it's can be difficult to manage and figure out what you're doing, and then there are those of us who live on Ravelry. And we're there every day, and we forget, like, oh yeah, posting a picture, that took me a while to figure out how to do that, and it is kind of hard even when you're trying to help people, because if they don't know how to read your responses, it's not a lot of help. So yeah, so I'm glad that you were able to figure it out and join the fun. So
yeah, thank you. Thank you.
All right. I'm trying to see if there's anybody I've missed. So speak up now if you wanted to be spotlighted or if you want to chime in.
I'm Julie Casnunas without a photo, just a black screen.
Ah, hi, Julie.
Oh, I'm so sorry. My camera went out on my laptop. I can't get it to work because I have the most beautiful shawl. I use Barking Up a Tree colors from Emma's Pearls, and it is stunning. I am so pleased with it. So I wanted to thank you. Can't wait for your next one. Yeah, and I'm also living in Indiana, and my weather report's a little different than yours. 30 mile-an-hour winds and spitting snow.
Oh, so are you further north?
Yeah, near Lake Michigan, Beverly Shores. Okay. Yeah.
That lake effect can really get you, right?
And thank you for weaving Stephen, and actually for meeting Stephen West. He is amazing.
Agreed.
Yeah, he just is also a great knitter teacher. So I've gotten to get to his site a little bit too. But anyhow, thank you. Loved it. And I will see you again.
All right. That's great. Thank you so much. All right, I think we've heard from everybody. So I'm just going to tell you a little bit about some of the designs that I have coming up in case you're interested. So right behind me is, so it actually doesn't have a name yet. I've been calling it the Heat Wave Shawl, but I think I'm going to change that. And the reason I don't have a name is because I don't have the full collection of shawls totally planned out yet. But this is actually one that would be a great way to use if you purchased an extra kit and want to separate your main color from your contrast colors. This uses 6 contrast colors and of those 133 yard minis. And it's worked side to side. It's got a lot of garter stitch and then this chevron detailing, sort of fading the colors together. So this is the first, I have 3 shawls that are going to be coming out. This one, which again, doesn't have a name yet. My second one features Northern Bee yarn. And I don't know if you are familiar with her yarn. She's based in Wisconsin, but she does, man, I can't get these colors to show very accurately, but she does these like variegated skeins. Let's see, this one might be a better way to show it. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so she dyes these variegated skeins. Like this one has the green and then like the minty color and then the black, and then she dyes solid skeins that go along with it. And so I designed a shawl, or I'm actually in the process of designing a shawl that highlights that combination of having a very variegated yarn with a semi-solid. And so I'm going to show you, these are my swatches from this design. So you can see like this variegated here in between, and then this really cool twisted rib lace pattern. I don't know how well that's showing up. I actually have, I'll have 2 samples knit. So this one, it's got that minty green on her sock base. And then this is actually purple. I know it's coming off as black on the screen, but it's like a really deep purple. And so it's on the needles right now, going into testing soon. And it looks like a mess, but it's going to be a beautiful shawl, 2-color shawl, and you don't have to use the variegated solid combo. That's just one way to knit this design. And then the third shawl in the collection will feature lavender loon yarn, and it will use mini skeins. And we are still figuring out exactly which colors to use for that. Sam is a friend of mine, and she's an amazing dyer, and she dyed lots of different options, and I'm really having trouble narrowing down exactly what I want to use for that third shawl. So so that one is still a mystery even to me. I've got some ideas and I started some sketching, but those 3 designs will be coming out this winter. I do always do my my April and October sock collections, so you'll be seeing those every April and October, where I do a 4-pattern sock collection. 2 are toe up and 2 are top down. And you can check out all of my socks if you are a sock knitter or interested in becoming a sock knitter. I love helping convince people to give it a try. And I know we've seen today a lot of people have tried out some of the sock designs from my latest collection, which is Socks of Witchcraft, and it's all live right now. That knit along runs through the end of November, and you only have to knit 1 single sock to be up for prizes. But I'm also doing the same Instagram thing, where if you post on Instagram with the hashtags and tag me, then you can still be eligible for prizes. And more shawl stuff. I'm going to go through just really quickly the shawls that I released over the summer in case you are not aware of them. So this one is not the sample that I photographed. It's actually a much darker version of the Indiana Sunset Shawl. So the sample version that I did was much brighter, but this is like a moodier version of Indiana Sunset. And it's sort of a cross between like a half pie shawl and crescent shawl, I guess, sort of somewhere between there, where I find the semicircular shawls can be tricky to wear because you don't have long enough ends for wrapping them around. So this one has like an extended wingspan that makes it really great for wrapping around. The second shawl in that collection was Midwestern Afternoon. These were all my close to home shawl designs that were designed during quarantine. And this one features Emma's yarn. This was my first shawl with Emma's yarn, and I love it. And they put together so many amazing combinations. The colors are difficult to see, but it's a really pretty olive green with some pretty amazing pops of pink. And then
Lisa, excuse me, could you repeat the name of that shawl?
Sure, this one's called Midwestern Afternoon.
Thanks.
Yeah. And thank you for jumping in with a comment that I don't have to read because I always miss those, and I'm sorry. And then the final shawl in the collection is Bloomington Morning, which okay, it's actually a dark blue. It's looking black. But this design, it's a two skein project, and it's designed to highlight a speckled or variegated yarn that you have in your stash. So it shows it off with this eyelet lace pattern. And then for those of you who enjoyed the mosaic knitting, it's not technically mosaic, but you do knit one color at a time. And you also do some unique stitch work to come out with this. It's called the thorn stitch. And it's a really fun way to show that off. And my favorite thing is that as it being a crescent shawl, you get this really awesome curl of the shawl right there at the bottom. So like when you wrap it around your neck, I can't do it with this shawl on, but you get those lovely little spirals coming down, which is a lot of fun. That's actually the shape of the Northern Bee shawl that I'm working on right now. It'll have that same feature where it'll spiral when you wear it. So that is what is up and coming for me. I've got a lot of knitting to do, but I'm really excited, and I'm so encouraged by all of you and all of your support. I'm so thankful for all of that. So thank you all. And I wanted to see if anyone has any questions. Feel free to unmute yourself, chime in, let me know.
Not a question, but just thank you again. It's lots of fun, always lots of fun.
Good, I'm so glad to hear that. Thank you, really. Thank you all from the bottom of my heart. I really appreciate all of you, and I hope you know that. All right, any last words? Anybody have anything else to say? All right, well, thank you all so much. It's been a blast. I'm already excited about the next one, planning it out, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So keep an eye out for the future.
Lisa, I do have a quick question.
Yeah.
I think I have a problem with mohair. I'm not positive.
Mm-hmm.
I picked up a lace. You said any lace for Beautifully Strong?
Yes.
Okay. Yep. I'm going to hold it with a fingering. So I'll have fingering, and then the lace is 50% merino, 50% silk.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that would definitely work. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I just want to verify for Beautifully Strong. That's my last pair to cast on. I have one of Luna's, and then I have the other two, our pairs already done. So I just have one more Luna's and then the Beautifully Strong. So
that's amazing. And were you had posted that on Instagram? Am I right about that or not?
Yeah, my sister's Christmas present.
Yeah.
My sister's Christmas present, and then these are done. So.
Yes. Oh, beautiful. Yeah. Yeah. Just holding the lace weight.
And then this.
Nice. Love it. Love it. Yeah, so that should definitely work. Just make sure that you're getting the right gauge. But because those are toe up, the great thing about toe up socks is that you can check your gauge after you've done the toe and then either keep going or adjust. So that's a nice way to be able to do that. So, yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. All right. Anybody else? All right. Well, thank you all and have a wonderful rest of your Sunday.